How can you make your lightsaber go from this to this?
Just like me, they're the last of the Jedi religion.
Don't go anywhere because I'm about to show you how to change fonts on any Proffie in less than 10 minutes. Hey nerds, welcome back to the Fellowship of the Nerds. I am your host as always, Luke Skywalker. And today we're going to have a really special one. A lot of people have asked me, how do I make it so that lightsabers have, sounds before they ignite or after they turn off, and and how do I make sound fonts and all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to go around how to make a full sound font because it will take me definitely a long time, but actually it's not as complicated as you think. But I am going to address how do you add pre-on, post stuff and all that sort of stuff, and essentially explain to you how you change a Proffie sound font within Proffie without having to know how to code, how to use Arduino, any of this sort of stuff. Just simply, how do I grab my SD card and make it cooler? So first thing that you're going to need to do is figure out which lightsaber you want to do that with. And for me, it was this one. This is the Exile from Korbanth. Now, this lightsaber, amazing as it is, had one big problem, which is the lightsaber had a sound font that was Return of the Jedi. And this lightsaber is from The Last Jedi. So it made no sense for me. The music and everything that came with it was of Return of the Jedi. I was very cool. It's a sound font from Reaver's Arsenal, and I have nothing but respect to Reavers, but it was like, okay, it doesn't make sense because it's a different, it's not a different character, but it's a different time for this character, so it shouldn't have this. So what I figured out was that you can do pretty much this with any lightsaber, with any Proffie that you want, as long as you're happy with maintaining certain status quo. So what I mean by that is, because this was a change from a loop green to a loop green, there really wasn't that much difference. The ignition was going to be the same, the lighting on the blade was going to be the same. So there was really nothing to it other than to actually change the sounds. If you want to do that, that's very simple. I'm about to explain you how you do it. If you want to change it so the ignition does something entirely different, or you have a sound font that is, say for example, from Luke Skywalker A New Hope, and you want to put a Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi, then that's a bit different, because then you're talking about changing colors, you're talking about changing ignitions, you're talking about changing some other stuff, right? It's, for example, if you're already doing Kylo Ren, right? Kylo Ren has a very, very specific ignition. So if you were to use the sound from Kylo Ren and put a Darth Vader, you'll get the sound of Darth Vader, but you get the ignition will be completely wrong, because you wouldn't get the ignition of Darth Vader. Now, if you want to change that, then yes, you're going to have to do that using Arduino. You're going to have to do that coding, because you're going to have to tell the saber with commands, I want you to do this and turn on like this, and all that sort of stuff. If what you just want is a change of sound font, so say for example you just bought a Darth Vader and you just do not like what it sounds like out of the box, then this is the video for you, because this is pretty much what happened with this Exile. I love the lightsaber, but the sound just didn't match what the expectation of the character was. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is access your SD card. You do that, you grab your SD card, you put it on your computer, and you're going to want to grab everything that's in it and simply do a complete copy, and you save it somewhere. In this one, we've called it the Exile SD, and we just copy entirely everything that it has, and you do not touch that. You put it somewhere safe, and then you start playing with what it's in here, because this is what you're going to then put back in. So let me show you how you do that. Okay, this one, because it was so easy, because of Korbanth always, put in the names of every single sound font properly, it was very easy to identify within the SD which is the one that we wanted to change. But sometimes you're going to have to go and find by sound what it is, because they're going to have names that are going to make no sense. So if that's the case, you just have to go into the font or the boot or whatever and find a sound that you've already heard on the lightsaber and just play it.
I know there is good in you.
So then you'll be sure, yep, that's the one I wanted to change. So you go ahead, you grab every single thing that is within this folder, all the files, everything that's in there, including the config, all of that, and you're just going to delete it. You're going to empty that folder altogether. Because you already made a backup, don't worry, because if this goes wrong, you have somewhere to go and back up. Now, once you've done that, you're going to find whatever sound font it is that you're going to want to change. Now, in this case, we're going to go with Juan Sith Lost Uncle because it makes perfect sense for the character and for what we wanted to do. So we're going to grab the green one. It comes with a couple of options. So you're going to grab the green one and you're going to grab everything that's in here. Just literally just copy it. Go back to where you had that empty folder in the SD card. And then you're just going to want to dump everything in there. So absolutely everything exactly as it is, because it will include config files and everything, so you don't have to be worrying about that. So we go back into our folder, we simply do a copy paste. Everything has been where we want it to be now. And then you're going to start playing around with what you want to do. If you want to add pre-ons and post-off, very, very simple. But before you do that, take a look around and familiarize yourself with where is everything. So if you see a folder that says font and you still have a font separate to that, check out, because sometimes there will be a duplicate or sometimes there will be an alternative. So you might want to leave the font where it is, or sometimes you'll have to leave the font separately and you'll have to have no font folder. In this case, because there is a font folder, what we're going to do is we're going to put that other font here. And that way, and you see the order it has said font 2 and font, so you want to leave it exactly as it was on the original. So if the original said font 2, if there were a variant, then you'll have to do it like that. If it said font 1, font 2, then rename it to font 1, font 2. If it said font 01 and 02 and so forth, you do that. So we're going to now find the sounds that we want.
Just like me, they're the last of the Jedi religion.
And this is the one that we're chosen as a pre-on, so we're going to copy that. We're going to go back to the root folder of this Soundfont. We're going to paste it here, and we're going to have to obviously rename it. And when you do rename that, you're going to have to rename it pre-on. Okay, just the word like that with all the letters. Now we're going to find our post-off.
I will teach you the ways of... Impressive. Every word in that sentence was wrong. What do you know about the Force? Lesson 1. Sit here. Reach out with your feelings.
Actually, there's a good one that we can use within the Force option. So whenever we do our double click, or however you have the Force sounds on your Soundfont, so we're going to put on your lightsaber, sorry. So we're going to put that here. I'm going to rename it, and it's going to go sequentially to what is already there. So if it says Force 1, you Force 2. If there's only says Force, then you will put Force 2. If it says Force 01, Force 02, but again, remember that you have to match whatever was originally on the folder. So you're going to have to make note of how it is before you delete the original Soundfont. And if not, you can always revert back and find what you had.
I'm ending all of this. I saw darkness. Nothing can make me change my mind. It's time for the Jedi to end.
And this is a post-off that we have, so we're going to copy that. And sometimes it will be in boot, sometimes it will be in extras under quotes, sometimes, you know, it'll depend on who you're getting your Soundfont from. And we're going to write this post-off, but you see that it doesn't say post, P-O-S-T, it doesn't say with all the letters, so you have to have that in mind. And once you've done that, and if you want to have more, like say for example, if you're seeing here that this includes more, then these said these have numbers, so you're gonna have to like just basically put them in sequential order if you want more than one post-off, which is absolutely fine and it's absolutely doable as long as your lightsaber is configured under Fed, which I think is 99% of Proffies. Then you're gonna be able to do that. Now, once you put in whatever sounds that you want, will want to take care of the music. So you'll find it's normally in the folder that will be called tracks, or old tracks or stuff like that. You'll find whichever is the one that is of the that's lightsaber sound font that you want. In this case, it was very simple because it's Luke ROTJ and Korbanth uses it the same way. So you want to copy the name exactly as it is. You want to bring in here whatever Soundfont, not Soundfont, whatever music track you want. And remember, it has to be in WAV format. It won't take MP3. You dump it here. You rename it whatever the Soundfont that you had here, and then delete the one that was already there. And that way, whenever you call out the music, it will come that way. And you go from the Return of the Jedi.
Just like me, they're the last of the Jedi religion.
To the Last Jedi. Just like that. Now, the cool thing is,
It's time for the Jedi to end.
if you also do the track, the audio track, and in my case, I use a personalized audio track because I want a specific moment from the soundtrack of The Last Jedi. I want to stop it there because I don't want to get copyrighted, but you get the point. You'll be able to do it just as I just explained. And that was less than 10 minutes, like not even. So like it is relatively simple what you're doing. Now, you do have to be mindful on following whatever structure you had originally. So if originally the thing said boot and then it jumped to boot 02 or boot 2, then whenever you put in your new things, you make sure that the first one says boot and the other one says boot 2, boot 02. If they all say boot 1, boot 2, boot 3, then you put what boot 1 would do. The same with force, with whatever, like font, whatever, you know, you just copy the same thing. When you're putting the, if you want to put more than one pre-on and one more post off that just the one, then you're going to want to put pre-on 1, pre-on 2, pre-on 3, post off 1, post off 2. And of course, you make sure that the spelling is exactly correct and exactly like it was. It really is matching the expectations of what the board is wanting to find. So that's the reason why the music thing, you just simply put whatever music file you want and you give it the name that the previous one had, because whenever I'm pulling my music, that's what this board is going to look for. It's going to look, where's the file that's named this to play it. And it's the same with all the others. It's the same with force, it's the same with whatever. But the beauty of it is that then you can add, you know, force gazillion one. I'm pretty sure there has to be a limit, but you know what I mean? You'll just be able to put whatever it is that you want. So it will work perfectly. So you don't have to worry about anything, nerds. If you get a lightsaber that's Luke, and it turns out it didn't come with a Luke Soundfont, but there's a green ignition, boom, you just find whatever that green ignition is, you find what the sound it is that's making when it turns on, and you just find that on your SD card, you replace everything, and you're good to go. If you have questions, please, by all means, put them in the comments, because I'll be more than happy to reply and to help you get to whatever you need to get. But remember, if what you're wanting to do is you want your lightsaber of Darth Vader to have a, you know, an unstable blade like Kylo Ren does, then yes, you will have to do that by config. You will have to know what you're doing to code, or you'll have to use one of our Sabersmiths friends like SaberSense, who are great, and you know, this doesn't really cost that much. But if you want to save yourself a couple bucks, and especially time, because whenever you send anything to a Sabersmith, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to send it to you. It's going to take whatever amount of time it takes, and you have to set back. Where this, I mean, you've seen what it took us. It was less than 10 minutes, so why wouldn't you? And nerds, that's our video. I hope that you find that useful. I hope that you find that helpful, and I hope that you'll be able to start making your Proffie lightsabers your own. So I hope that you find that useful. And like I said, if you have any questions, please leave them in a comment. I will make my absolute best efforts to come back to you ASAP and help you out as best as I can. Nerds, I have been your host as always, Luke Skywalker. You be good now. Remember, the Force will be with you always. Remember to live long and prosper, and may the odds be ever in your favor, Melanin. And until we meet again, mischief managed. I'll see you around, nerds.